evening and welcome to the Kohlberg Report. I'm your host, Mikhail Bruhaha, and tonight we have a very interesting show for you. We're going to take you behind the scenes of the research of Dr. Lawrence Kohlberg, who has made many striking advances in the field of human moral development. Later on, we will also be featuring Dr. Carol Gilligan, who offers several different views on the subject. But as for now, let us meet Dr. Kohlberg. Born to Jewish parents in 1927, he grew up in Bronxville, New York. As a young male, he worked as a U.S. merchant marine in post-World War II Europe, helping to smuggle Jewish refugees past a British blockade into Palestine. It was this that sparked his interest in moral development. From there, he went on to study at the University of Chicago. He would later teach there and also Harvard University. Our team headed out to Harvard University to get an inside look at his current research. So, Dr. Kohlberg, what have you done in the field of moral development?
Well, Mikhail, human moral development is a very complex subject, but I believe it can be reduced into 3 stages with 2 sublevels for each stage. What I'm going to show you today are footage from 2 boys, one named Stan and the other named Mikey, who we've been following throughout their lives, and we've been posing to them this dilemma called the Heinz dilemma. It's a moral decision where there isn't necessarily a right or wrong, there's just the reason why, and that's what we're interested in finding.
In Europe, a woman was near death from a special kind of cancer. There was one drug that the doctors thought might save her. It was a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive to make, but the druggist was charging 10 times what it cost to make. He paid $200 for the radium and charged $2,000 for a small dose of the drug. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but could only get together about $1,000, which is half of what it cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay later. But the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm willing to make money from it." So Heinz got desperate and broke into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. Should the husband have done that?
Here we are about to see Stan's reaction to the story. This footage was taken 25 years ago, and the research team has been monitoring Stan's development ever since with periodic interviews such as the one you are about to see. This is the first stage, first level.
So little Stan, after hearing that story, do you think what Heinz did was right or wrong?
It was wrong.
And why do you think it was wrong?
Because it's wrong to steal.
And why do you think that?
Because he's going to get punished.
Punishment. So he shouldn't steal because he would get punished. I see.
Now we will see another of Kohlberg's subjects, Mikey, who is a bit further along in his development. He has progressed to the second level of stage 1.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Kohlberg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today, little Mikey?
Good.
It's good to hear. So, the story that my assistant just read you, I'd just like to ask you a few questions about that, see what you think, okay?
Okay.
Now, the man named Heinz in this story, what did you think about his actions? Did you think he was justified in doing what he did?
Well, I think it depends on whose side of the story you look at.
Okay.
Because looking at his side of the story, he did what was right. He saved his wife. But if you look at the pharmacist's side of the story, he did what was right because he was just trying to make a buck.
Okay. I see.
So it really depends on whose side of the story you look at.
Okay. So you're saying they should have each done what they felt was best for their own personal interest.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
So what you just saw were 2 good examples of the first stage, pre-conventional morality. Stan was a very good example at the first level, where a child is primarily concerned with crime and punishment. Since Stan knows that it's bad to steal, that you will be punished if you will steal, it's therefore wrong what Heinz did because he stole. With Mikey, we see him further down the line at stage 2 of the development, where he is more concerned with different people's self-motivation. So it's all relative. Whatever Hines wants and he does, it's right. Whatever the druggist wants and he does, it's right. So what Hines did was right if Mikey is looking at it from his point of view. But at the same time, if Mikey's looking at it through the druggist's point of view, what Hines did was wrong because it doesn't serve the druggist's personal self-interests.
We now see our subjects advance further along to the second stage of moral development. Here again we see footage from our slightly older subjects, the first being Stan, in the first level of stage 2.
Morning, man.
Good morning.
Morning, Stan. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, the story I just gave you to read, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you about it. So, Hines, do you think he was right to do what he did?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. And could you tell me a little bit about why you think that?
Well, he was just trying to save his life. He had good
Okay.
intentions.
So he had good intentions, all right? And what about the pharmacist then?
He was just being greedy.
Greed.
Now we see how Mikey has progressed to the second level of the second stage.
Morning. I'm Dr. Kohlberg.
Morning.
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 So, Mike, how's it going today?
Good. Good.
So, I just had my assistant read you the same story I had him read a few years ago to you, but I'm interested in seeing what you think about it now, that you are a little teenager there. So, Hines, do you think he was justified in doing what he did?
No.
Okay.
Because,
Can you explain that a little bit?
well, think about it. If everybody just did what they were supposed to, what they thought was right, then have people breaking laws and there would just be chaos because everybody would be doing what they wanted to do and not necessarily following what was right.
Okay. So, society needs to function, is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
So we just saw two good examples of the second stage of morality called conventional morality, where in the first level of the stage represented by Stan, we see a child who is concerned about the motives of people, that if Heinz's motives were good, he must have been right. Whereas the druggist's motives were bad, selfish or greedy or whatever they say, and so therefore he was wrong. And the final conclusion is that Hines was right to have stolen the drug. But in the second level of this stage, we see almost a backlash against that, where the child will say, if everyone did what they wanted in society, there would be chaos. There need to be rules and regulations. People can't just do what they want. And so this person will say, in this case Mikey, will say, no, he shouldn't have stolen the drug, because if everyone did that, then society would be chaotic.
Now a fully grown adult, we were invited in to see Kohlberg's third interview with Stan. At this point, he has progressed to the third stage.
Mr. Diddley, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good. All right. So, that story my assistant had just given you to read, I wanted to know what you thought about that. So, Hines, do you think he was justified in doing what he did or not?
Yeah, I think he was justified. His wife's life was on the line.
Okay, I see. And can you provide me maybe a little more insight into why you believe that?
Well, I think life is more important than property.
Okay. So, his wife's life was more important than the druggist keeping his property. Okay. But that could also, if everyone did something like that, it could also lead to, say, society into chaos. How would you balance that?
Well, I think the judge should still punish him because obviously he broke the law.
Mhm.
But maybe give him a lighter sentence because he was trying to save his wife's life.
Okay. So what we just saw here with Stan in his most recent interview is that the idea that individuals in a society need to have a good society. A society where everyone follows the laws may not be perfect, like the subject in stage 2 reasoned. So, the basic idea that life is more important than property is prevalent. So then there's also a level 2 to this, that I've been developing, where there is a series of universal principles and rights, but a lot of it has been controversial, and I've recently moved towards other areas of study.
However, some have criticized some of Kohlberg's theories, such as Dr. Carol Gilligan, who we brought in today to share her thoughts on the matter. My two major gripes with Dr. Kohlberg's theories are that he only used males as his subject, and they're all from the same socioeconomic background in Chicago. This makes his results skewed. He said that males' highest level of morality is focused on justice, where my studies show that females' highest level of morality is caring for others.
As you can see, many developments have been made in the field of moral development. However, still controversy surrounds some of the theories. But there is still much to be discovered. As for tonight, I'm Mikhail Bruhaha, and remember, eat your fruits and vegetables.
I